Hello and welcome to Board of It. I'm Farrell, this is Tally.
Hello.
And today we're going to review Star Wars, the deck building game. Now, this is a two-player head-to-head deck building game. I mean, the title says it all. And if you know anything about Star Wars, you've ever played anything with Star Wars, then you know the drill. One person's the Rebels, one person's the Empire, and you attack each other.
Classic.
Classic.
Mechanically speaking, players will be initially playing cards to earn credits to buy better cards and therefore creating their perfect deck and attacking their opponent with those cards. It's not the most complex of games, so let's just jump right into how it plays. Each player will start the game with a standard deck of 10 cards, from which they will draw 5 cards. Then, on their turn, players can play those cards, activating the powers on them and using certain cards' attack value to attack their opponent. Some cards will also provide you with credits when played, which can be used to buy new cards, which go straight into the discard pile. The goal of the game is to destroy a set number of your opponent's bases, which can vary depending on how quick you want the game to be. You're going to do that by playing cards from your hand that have an attack value, grouping them all together to then attack the base. However, if your opponent has capital ships in play, they protect the base, with the damage automatically being assigned to them first. Now, each card will either be an Empire card, a Rebel card, or a neutral card. And obviously, you can only purchase cards from your own faction or the neutral cards. However, the clever twist is that you can actually attack your opponent's cards whilst they're still in the marketplace before they've even got a chance to buy them, forcing them to be discarded, and you'll even get a little reward for doing so.
Honestly, that's like all you need to know. Except for maybe that there's a force track, and if the token is all the way on your side at the beginning of your turn, you get an extra credit. If it's somewhat on your side, or all the way, then certain cards will be able to activate. They'll say, if the force is with you, do this. But that's one of the best parts about Star Wars deck building game. It's simplicity. It is the kind of game that you can literally get out, set up, teach, and be playing within about 5 minutes, which is terrific. A particularly nice aspect of Star Wars, the deck building game, is the adaptability. Based on how many bases you include in the game, you will get a different experience because you can set it up so that you have a quick 20-minute kind of game you can play over lunch, or you can have an hour-long extravaganza and build really big decks and really get those combos flowing and have, you know, a kind of big back and forth. Because the bases are kind of the rate that the game will take, the kind of length that the game will take, how many you include. So we prefer playing with the recommended 4, maybe more, just because we found that to be a level that allows you to actually start kind of building up this deck. You start to get interesting strategies emerge, you start to get combos and synergies, and having less bases is a little bit too quick and it's over before you really get going. Obviously, it depends what you like. What we would say is that if you've ever played a board game before, I would not bother with the introductory game. It like kind of tells you to play when you open up this box. Already very simple. And it kind of strips away a bit of the strategy and makes it a very quick game. And the optimal way to play it. I think it's far more interesting playing it the way that it's recommended, like the full game. Just because I honestly think people will bounce off that because it's not as interesting. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, and as we've touched upon, this is a pretty simple game to learn and play, but the vast variety of cards really allows for a lot of different strategies to become available because of the different ways the cards can be comboed together. It's also really fun to start the game by just kind of taking the cards that are available in the marketplace and kind of working with what you have. But then as the game goes on, you can really start to spot strategies become available depending on the cards that you already have. And it's really satisfying to actively pursue them and have them pay off. You should also note that the two sides don't really play that differently, so you're not going to get an asymmetric experience like you would in Star Wars Rebellion. But there are minor differences, such as the Rebels having a lot of cards that force the Empire to discard cards, and the Empire having a lot of cards that allow them to draw more cards, which makes sense thematically.
One of our favourite aspects of this game were the bases. Now, the first base you begin each game with, boring, doesn't do anything. Every base after that, you get to pick which one you want to put into play, and each one of them has a special unique power that may be useless or it may be completely overpowered depending on the current game state and the makeup of your deck. And this introduces a lot of variety in the game, a lot of adaptability, and it also means you're going to have kind of different experiences each game you play because the makeup of your deck will be different due to the randomness of the cards. But the powers are generally really interesting, and there's always going to be one that will make you go, nice, at that current moment. It's also really nice that their powers are thematic, like Hoth preventing damage each round, or Corellia allowing you to get something from the marketplace for free. Now, we'll say that there isn't a lot in it, but did find the powers of the Empire bases to be a little more interesting than the powers of the Rebel bases, but that also might just be a personal opinion. Speaking of the bases, one thing that Tally wasn't so hot on was this whole system of capital ships protecting your bases. And this is because often you'll put a capital ship into play, and then it'll immediately get destroyed on your opponent's turn, and you come back to your turn, don't have one anymore. And it's almost like, what is the point? It's a bit like arbitrarily throwing up a roadblock to make the game last longer. I mean, it's not like the game drags out or anything, but that is a little bit how it feels, because it's very rare that capital ships, unless you have like 3 of them at once, are going to last to your next turn. And there are also some cards that will be like, oh, draw a card if you have a capital ship in play. And it's a little bit like, how useful are those really, considering? Now, I didn't feel this as much, but I definitely agree that it's rare a capital ship is going to last.
Now, back to the positives. Star Wars the Deck Building Game is really sharp and punchy. The turns are quick and snappy, you build your deck at a really nice pace, and the attacks are super easy to resolve. Almost all of the cards on offer are interesting, and it can also be pretty funny to watch your opponent groan as they replace a card they just bought in the marketplace from the deck, flip it over just to see that it's Luke Skywalker, which is exactly what you need. There are also some really excellent ideas in here which just elevate it above other games similar in the category, such as being able to get rid of and attack your opponent's cards in the marketplace. Goodbye, Han Solo. But what we're most looking forward to are the inevitable Fantasy Flight expansions, as this is a really solid base we think will be worked in interesting ways.
Final thoughts. Star Wars, the deck building game, is going to be a game a lot of people enjoy, not just Star Wars people, but I think they'll enjoy it all the more. Now, it's not like incredible, it's not amazing. Don't run out and buy it and pay over the odds because it's out of stock or something, but it's enjoyable. And it's the perfect kind of game to maybe take to the pub with a friend, or to, you know, when you're looking for something lighter, something snappy, play a best of 3 and just kind of go toe to toe at each other, basically.
Which is exactly what we did, but best of 5 now, maybe? Something like that. Anyway.
I think as well, I think you need to win a game to make it a best of 5.
Are you kidding me?
What?
I did win.
Once.
Anyway, the longevity will likely depend on the strength of the almost inevitable future expansions, but you've still got a really solid game here with plenty of plays in it, particularly because you can just swap around and play as the different factions. If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and please feel free to ask us any questions about this game down in the comments. Let us know if you've already played it, what do you think, etc. We usually have another dog with us, Megan, but she refused to work today. She just wants treats. So we better get this boy a treat.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next time.